It's not too cold yet, so still like doable to be outside here.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
I am in Colorado right now. So
Nice.
it was cold this morning. It was like 30 degrees, but it's warmed up.
Nice. Gotcha. Are any like ski areas open yet or no?
Yeah, they had opening weekend a couple weeks ago. So
Cool.
yeah.
Gotcha. Corbin and I got the Icon pass this year, so we can come up and snowboard and stuff. It'll be awesome.
That's awesome.
What's good?
Hey.
What up?
How's it going, man?
Going?
Good to see you.
Got some Chipotle, chicken quesadilla.
For you, your go-to quesadilla?
Oh yeah, all day, every day.
I'm a burrito. I love a good burrito.
Yeah,
I'm a burrito guy.
burrito for sure.
Well, stoked that you guys are able to chat with us. And thanks so much for joining Twloha on Giving Tuesday.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Excited to talk about some mental health.
Yeah.
It's important stuff.
Yeah. So before we get into some of the questions, I just wanted to let anybody know who hasn't heard of To Write Love on Arms before, a little bit about us and kind of what we do. So we're a nonprofit. Our mission is to present hope and find help for people who are struggling with depression, addiction, self-injury, and suicide. So we work to connect people with mental health resources and provide scholarships for care. And more than anything, we're working so we can all live in a world where it's okay to talk about mental health and ask for help. So we're super excited that Why Don't We is wanted to partner with us for Giving Tuesday, a day that's already a day of global generosity, but we're aiming to make it a day of hope. So together we're using our voices to remind people who may be struggling that they're not alone. We've also set a goal to raise $10,000 today. So you can help us by actually donating right now. It's linked to this live.
Let's go.
Yeah. And dollar helps us make it possible for us to continue this work into 22. So, but now I want to get into some questions for you guys. And for anybody who's tuning in, if you have questions for Jonah or Corbin, you are welcome to submit them in the Q&A, and we'll get to those at the end. But let's just start off. Why is mental health important to you guys in the band?
I mean, I think mental health is just as important, if not more important, as physical health. It's just how you are in the world. And I think for me, I've really started paying attention more to my mental health over the last year or two. And I got a therapist actually last year, and just like sort of investing in my own mental okayness and making sure I was fine has helped me so much in the long run. And I feel myself being more creative and more outgoing, and just feeling more comfortable in my skin because of it. And I think for a long time I thought about asking for help or talking to people almost as like a weakness, or I was a little embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I think just kind of crushing that stigma and being like, no, even people who are totally good and happy should be talking about how their mental health is. I think it's really important, just that we continue that conversation. And I think anyone in your life, if you're not doing well, like would love to sit down and talk with you about it. I think that's really important. And there are so many people who care, but if you don't talk to them, they're not going to know.
Yeah. I resonate with a lot shared. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, I was gonna say too, like Jonah nailed it. But like part of, what we've experienced being in a band and, having a positive effect on people is like exactly that. And it's like, people come to us every time we're in a city or, in our DMs or on Twitter or whatever. And just the amount of like, you've saved my life, saved my life that we've gotten. It's just really great. It's just to wrap your head around at first. But because like that's a really big thing. And so I think, you know, just kind of being looped into that world and you know, really paying attention to how our fans are doing and stuff has really, you know, brought us like in the loop for a long time now on just like being aware of mental health and being aware of like the people around you, and you know, always trying your best to like leave a positive mark on someone every day. And that's something that I really like to live by, is just like, you know, the more you give, the more you receive, I feel like. And giving happiness is like the simplest thing to do, man. It's as simple as saying like, oh, your hair looks really good today. And like, pff, that little thing can make someone's entire week. It's
Dude,
like,
thanks, man. Aw.
No, you guys are sharing. I mean, even working for a mental health nonprofit, like everybody who works there has to remind themselves of like, hey, you got to take care of your mental health too. You know, like you got to carve out some time. And like even today, on one of our busiest days, I went to a counseling appointment, and I'm like, I mean, this was when he was available, and I just needed to fit it in. And I was like, hey, it's a busy day, but it's worth it, you know? So love that. Has the conversation about mental health for you guys changed over the past few years?
I think just we've just gotten a little more like aware and conscious of it, you know. I feel like there's always like learning to do. And you know, for us, especially as of the last 2 years, like the world has been really, really tough. And you know, I don't like talking about it because it's the obvious, and because, you know, like anything to get out of like this space room. But you know, for us, I think like coming off the road and having that adrenaline high every night of like just being on stage and feeling the love and feeling you know, that like purpose in your life kind of just like disappeared for a good little while, like just out of thin air. And I found myself like at home folding my laundry on my bed, and I was like, this is crazy. And so I think, you know, there was a time where like all five of us were kind of feeling a little bit like, just like not down in the dumps, but just a little bit like, whoa, like life will hit you in the face sometimes. And like, you know, Jack had a moment where we were writing our Good Times and the Bad Ones album where like he was just getting riddled with anxiety and just like he was going through some things and just having some mental health struggles. And I think that was like the first real case within the band where we were like, yo, this is a really important thing. Like, we got to make sure that like we're okay, and like that our boys are okay, and that like the people around us are okay. And I mean, in the end, everything's fine, which is great. But it's, you know, it'll definitely key you in when it's like right in front of your face, you know, this whole just like being aware of your mental health and like actually having to take action about it is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. You nailed it. I think it's been a hard couple of years for everyone, and we experienced that in a crazy way of like literally going from being on tour all the time to in our bedrooms. And I'm sure people all around the world experienced that exact thing in their own ways of like it literally affected everyone. So I think it's just important to be, like you said, Corbin, just like very caring and try to just be kind to people around you and keep that train moving in the right direction, because everyone's going through it.
That I think's big.
Yeah, I found too that like at least for me, and I just encourage anybody to try who might not already, but just like, you know, there's always like two sides to every situation, right? And you know, it's really easy to dwell on you know, like negatives and the world coming down on you. And but I always find that within every negative there's some glimmer of a positive at least. And so for me, in my darkest times, it really just helps for me to try to take a step back and just look at like, okay, what's negative in my life right now, and what's like realistically negative, and like, you know, on the flip side, what's positive and what's realistically positive, and like what can I latch onto on this side that'll maybe clear my mind a bit and kind of ease the tension on the way I'm thinking about certain things too. Because like, you know, having you know, bad mental health, like that'll really change the way you think too, unfortunately. And that's like, it's tough to get out of that rut sometimes, but like grasping onto a little bit of positive wherever you can find it, I've found, you know, can really help and be like the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be big. Like it could be small things. It could be like, you just made your bed, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, anything. Which
Yeah.
I bed today. I was like,
Woo!
hey.
Let's go.
There's no fresh room.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I don't know if you'd have anything to add, but I know you guys. I mean, we're all kind of what could potentially feel like coming out of a pandemic or doing things that are a little bit not isolating. So you just released a single, and we're thinking about, you know, touring in the future. How are you thinking about, you know, going from one very specific lifestyle for a while to then now going to prioritize your mental health on the road and back to the grind and the hustle of things? What's kind of your...
Yeah. I think just like taking sort of what we've learned over this time of like really prioritizing mental health and then applying it to life as we know it outside of a pandemic as well will be super key. And you know, maybe that's the positive that we got out of these last couple of years, is really being able to check in on people and make sure everyone's okay, and check in on each other and checking in on ourselves. And yeah, I think prioritizing just happiness and checking in on friends. I think that's the main takeaway.
I always feel my best on tour too. Like, for us being in the band, like we get, you know, hit with so much purpose on tour, and you just get to feel firsthand like the real impact that we have the privilege of making on people. And I just miss that so much, and I feel like getting out on the road is gonna be like, for me personally at least too, just a revival of like my sense of who I am and like, you know, my purpose. Um, yeah, I think the transition will be pretty easy. I think we'll get homesick a little bit at first, because we've all kind of built like lives out here in LA for the past 2 years. So, you know, leaving that behind is, I think, going to feel a little bit like when we moved to LA for the first time, and kind of left the life that we had in our hometowns behind. But I'm really excited, and I think it's going to be good. I think we're all just itching for it, and there's really nothing like seeing your fans in person and like getting to show them love and like feel the love, and just getting to be in a new city every single day, and like you know, just experience food, culture. Like, it's just amazing. So
And that's the beauty of live music, is it really like brings people together in the best way. I feel it like we're on stage and I look out and I see people who are like, who've been thinking about this night for the last couple weeks and have been planning their outfits and getting together with friends and meeting up with people they've never met before. And it's like this culmination of happiness, and the fact that we get to be sort of a key part in that is such a blessing. And like, I think, I don't know, it's just a beautiful community. And like, I think the more we can do to help encourage people to check in on each other and have fun and like be young and you know what I mean? Like it's we have this life and it can be so beautiful. So, you know, let's make it beautiful. It's good.
And it really seems like you guys as a band have a sense of community. Like, you guys not only care about each other, but you protect each other's like mental health, and you care when someone is, you know, feeling things that may be heavier. Like, that's...
Yeah, that's a big thing. Like, at the end of the day, like, we're the root of this thing, and us five are like the driving force. And like, you know, if we're not okay, how can we expect anything else to be okay? And you know, that's become like just pretty apparent. And also, like, you just never want to see someone you love like place, you know, like it takes a toll on the heart. And so, yeah, it's just, you know, again, stressing the importance of like making sure the people around you are okay. And like, it's all right to be vulnerable. I think the vulnerability aspect of it is probably what scares people away a little bit.
I think, and I think also accepting the fact that like it's okay not to be okay too. Like that is all right. And I know that's sort of like a cliche saying, but like,
We say it
it's
all.
not the end of the world. Yeah, it's not the end of the world if you're not okay. It's just a matter of like talking to it and being kind of at peace with that. And like when I feel that, my go-to is like getting out of my house or wherever I am and going on a hike or getting out in nature. Like I really like to. I grew up sort of out in the woods by a lake and stuff, so I would always like go on walks and I think part of who I am is just connecting back down to my roots, calling my parents, or like going on a walk. And like you never know. I feel like nature always rewards you when you go out into it. Like you never know what you're gonna see, but you might see an elk or a mountain goat or something come walking right up to you, and you're like, dang, I would not have experienced that if I didn't do
Yeah.
it. And like it can totally shift your outlook and make your problems feel a little bit less, I don't know, I think that's
Yeah.
important.
I resonate that. I just moved to a place, a specific kind, I mean, Colorado. So the nature,
Yeah.
I moved from the ocean, which is incredible, to the mountains, but it makes me feel so much more grounded just
Yeah.
out in nature, like this specific kind.
Corbin and I love Colorado so much.
Oh,
like it's one of our favorite places.
I would live there right now today.
Yeah, it's, I mean, there's just nothing like it. Yeah, so I felt immediately a shift in my mental health when I moved here. Even though moving and everything is stressful, I was like, this is my place to be extra grounded. So I love that. I mean, you were kind of touching on something that I wanted to mention, or ask you guys, like, why do you think it is so hard for people to speak up when they're struggling with their mental health?